So, ladies, let me first off by saying you do a great job on the show.
Thank you.
To Karen, I was wondering, Kimiko had a really fun dream sequence in season 3 where you got a chance to do some sing and dance. And she finally spoke up in the season 4 finale when Frenchie was walking away, basically. So I already saw the trailer, and she gets to speak up a lot more in season 5. Was it very liberating for you?
You know, it's such a funny thing because I thought it would be more liberating. It's been really anticipated, and a lot of fans have asked me before, is she gonna speak? Is she ever gonna speak? I also questioned that. I didn't know. And reading it for the first time, I was really excited, really nervous at the same time, and anxious about how we were going to develop the voice and everything. And so I want to say it was all liberating, but I've realized over the years that even though she wasn't speaking out loud, she was always saying something important, and she was speaking volumes even back then. And so I just felt like she's always been this strong of a character.
I agree, but a lot of the scenes, especially in the early seasons, you see a lot with your body language and facial expressions. Particular standout was the episode where her brother was killed and she was watching the TV, and that intense look with the lighting, and that was so good.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that was a really fun day on set. I think Derek Robinson was on set that day, and I remember we all took a group photo, and then the one without him in it made the poster and everything. So it was a special day.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I was also wondering, this is a question for both of you. In the last season, obviously both of your characters have relationships, but last season I also noticed that the two of you developed more of a friendship like in the show. Yeah. And is that something that's going to carry on as well in the new season?
Oh man, I wish we could tell you whether it carries on. I mean, listen, our characters have a really special bond. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting, I think, about our bond is all the bonds on our show are trauma bonds. However, that doesn't negate the gravity and the depth of those bonds. And I think particularly with our characters, when Annie and Kimiko are able to look at each other and understand what it's like to be a woman amongst like a room full of men. Yeah. In a majority, if not all of the rooms that we go into on this show, and everything we've been through and the strength that we've had to summon, that shared experience provides, I think, one of the strongest bonds on the show. I think it's easy to look at the love stories and associate Kimiko with Frenchie and Annie with Huey, and that makes sense. But I think female friendships are really one of the most magical things we have. And I think their friendship and their bond and their connection over everything they've been through as women in this world and just as who they are just as strong.
Yeah. I think at the heart of it for Kimiko, she's never really had a female friend. And so I think she's really excited at the beginning to have that connection with Annie, and I also think that there's a certain level of respect as well because she sees how Huey sees Annie and how Starlight turns into Annie, and that's not an easy thing for anyone to do. And so I think it's all layered, but Kimiko wants to be like genuinely her friend.
Yeah. And Erin also, because Annie's journey is basically it's basically the opposite of Homelander's journey, because you start off hopeful, join the Seven, and then have a lot of traumatic events happening to you. But it's also like her re-embracing Starlight, basically, because she denounced it halfway through season 3. Will she choose a different role for the final season? Like maybe balance it a little bit?
All I can say is that her identity as Starlight is something that she's really struggled to integrate into who she is as Annie. And I think, I know that all of that is due to the fact that she went through so much. Like, look at season 1, episode 1, when she's sexually assaulted. That compounded with all of the emotional, mental abuse that she's been through, naturally she's going to struggle to integrate the identity she associates with all of that trauma into who she is as Annie. So I think that's the primary question. It continues to be a question in season 5 as to whether or not she's able to go back to who she originally was as Starlight instead of Vought influenced Starlight and incorporate that into the Annie that she is now. And whether she's able to successfully do that, we don't know yet. But it's always going to be a question, and we'll see if it has a resolution this season.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.